I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championships.
The rivalries, it's up there on top of the list, man. And if we allow them to devalue it, we lose a lot of what makes college football special. Don't let them do it. Don't let them devalue what it means to you. Hey, welcome into Juck on Bucks for a JUCK recruiting update as the single greatest wide receiver coach in the history of wide receiver coaches. I think that's pretty much a proven fact at this point. Has landed yet another commitment. Wide receiver Kayden Dixon Wyatt has committed to the Buckeyes in the class of 2026, a teammate of wide receiver commit Kris Henry Jr. at Mater Dei in Inglewood, California. So that makes 4 commitments at wide receiver for the Buckeyes to Brian Hartline. Ohio State now with 12 total commitments in the class, and that is 4 wide receivers, 3 offensive linemen, 2 safeties, 1 linebacker, 1 tight end, and 1 corner. No quarterback, no defensive lineman yet. And on a staff full of very good to elite recruiters, Brian Hartline remains in a class of his own. The guy's just amazing. Year in and year out, the best recruiter in college football. Let's get into Kayden Dixon Wyatt. So Kayden Dixon Wyatt, you had USC, Alabama, Texas were in on this, but this was an Ohio State, Oregon recruitment. These Ohio State, Oregon recruitments have loomed large in the last couple cycles, and they're such a big deal because it's not just the fact that, you know, you're not getting a player in a opponent who is a top opponent in the Big Ten is, but it's just a momentum thing. Like we've sensed in the last class, like they were starting to become like the it school. Well, now the Buckeyes stomp them out in the Rose Bowl, win the national championship. In this class, I was really hoping it would show, and so far it is. And Kayden Dixon Wyatt, they don't have any wide receivers committed. This was a big one. The fact that he chose to enter Ohio State's crowded wide receiver room already with 3 commitments in there instead of the first in that class when he can get early playing time over there, it says a lot. It says a whole lot. So he was essentially an Oregon lean, comes into Ohio State 2 weeks before the spring game. And after that conversation that he had with Ryan Day, Brian Hartline, a source close to him leaked that they thought Ohio State was in the lead. Now, that following weekend, Oregon had a chance to pull him right back out of it because he headed out there with Messiah Hampton, another Buckeye wide receiver recruit who's from New York. So they go out to Oregon, and then Kayden Dixon Wyatt comes back into town the following week after that for the spring game. Loved the spring game, but then Oregon got his final official visit. So he goes out to Oregon for his final official. Was it going to be enough? Could they pull him off of Ohio State? No, they couldn't. Live decision comes Sunday. He chooses the Buckeyes. Now, is he still going to take official visits? Is his recruitment shut down? Like, I find this just amazing. So, you know, it used to be when you were committed, that was it. You weren't taking any more official visits. He has 4 scheduled. We don't know if he's going to take them or not. But now you've got this thing that it's an announcement when you're not going to take visits elsewhere after you're committed. It now becomes a thing with a Hayes Fawcett graphic. I'm no longer going to be visiting because I'm recruiting or because I've committed somewhere else. It's just bizarre, man. But Mater Dei, a high school, it's been a curse. We've talked about it. The Mater Dei curse. Ohio State could never pull a guy out of there, despite being in on so many. It was just a pipeline to USC for the longest. Then in the last, 7, 8, 9 years, it's been more of an Oregon pipeline. And we even saw last cycle with Jordan Davison out of Mater Dei. He ends up going to Oregon, but Ohio State really pulled out at the end. But that's the point. It was always something went wrong. Some people think that Kris Henry Jr. broke the Mater Dei curse. I don't think I'm going with that. I think I'm going with Kayden Dixon Wyatt. Kris Henry Jr., while technically the first one committed to this class, he committed to Ohio State while he was still playing Ohio high school football. Kayden Dixon Wyatt is a California kid who went to Mater Dei as a freshman, and he is hopefully going to be signing at Ohio State on signing day. So he, to me, is the one who's breaking the Mater Dei curse. Now, up until the most recent updated rankings, Kayden Dixon Wyatt, people were wildly different on him. You had on 3, first off, just with his height alone, he's anywhere from 6'1" to 6'3", depending on where you look. That's a pretty big difference for a receiver. I'm going to show you the highlights here. You be the judge. I think he looks closer to 6'3". But for the longest time, On3 had him as a 3-star number 100 and some ranked wide receiver in the country. Again, you're going to see how ridiculous that is in a second here. But in their most recent ranking updates, they jumped him up to a 4-star, number 43 wide receiver, 265 overall in the country. 24/7 has him as the 58th overall player in the country, the number 6 wide receiver. We're talking a kid that could be pushing for 5-star status if he has a huge senior year. But a guy with a profile like his at a school with that kind of profile that gets scouts there, when they notice these kids at big schools like that when they're freshmen. It's just odd to have such a huge variance there. But it's clear Brian Hartline, who has a pretty good track record with talent evaluation, really liked him very early on. And honestly, it doesn't take a Brian Hartline level talent evaluator to see what makes this kid a little special. Let's cue up the tape for Kayden Dixon Wyatt. Kayden Dixon Wyatt, Inglewood, always up to no good, out there at Mater Day. And the thing that you notice about Kayden Dixon Wyatt, he's not a blazer. He's got really good size. He's listed at either 6'2" or 6'3". I'm going with 6'3". You can see the long legs right there. And next to Hartline, who's 6'3", about the same size. But, the knock on him, if there is one, is not incredibly fast. I think he plays really fast, but obviously what jumps out is that. Really, really, really top-notch body control in full sprint. He can twist and turn and do all sorts of things that most guys you can't teach. Just contested catches after contested catches with crazy body control. He's a highlight film. This thing will go on for 7 minutes if we let it. And, so many of them like that it's just, it's really impressive. Like that. You know what I mean? It's just, some of this stuff you can't teach. It's just natural athleticism. This one in particular, obviously the DB gets, he blows by this DB, bad coverage, but the way he catches this ball and just brings it in, just snatches it, it's just natural hands, man. The kid is just natural. This play right here looks like Jeremiah Smith's play against Tennessee. You'll see what I mean here. He catches it, puts this really hard stutter step on the corner and just shoots right by him. Love that. There aren't too many plays watching him catch it and run after yards after the catch. We don't see many of that in his highlight film. There is a little bit, but not much. It's mostly just ridiculous. Look at that. Look at that. You know how hard that is to be running one way with your head and then flip in the middle of the air and time it perfectly with the ball? Dude's ridiculous. Listen, Brian Hartline can put this kid in the first round. No doubt about it. Now, I'm guessing most of you, if you had not seen him before, are probably feeling a little bit better about this commitment after watching that. This is a potential big-time player. At this point, we are just so spoiled at wide receiver that you watch a guy like that and you're like, man, this guy, like in a lot of eras of Ohio State football, coming in as a freshman, we'd be like, that's going to be the guy. And now you look at a guy like that, so much talent, and he's not even going to be the best coming in the freshman class next year, and he's going to have to wait his turn. But that is absolutely, when you look at his skills, like that is an NFL dude. Brian Hartline can make that into an NFL guy for sure. Natural ability, obviously out the ears. And then, of course, if he's coming to Ohio State, if he wants to go take the long path to Ohio State stardom, which is several years of development, rather than going to someplace else where he can play right away, he's a really smart kid with his head on straight. That's always what that tells me, So we talk about this wide receiver class now, and obviously you got 4. Kayden Dixon Wyatt, Chris Henry Jr., Brock Boyd out of South Lake Carroll, and Jaeden Ricketts out of Pataskala, Ohio. Chris Henry Jr., we only got to see him play a couple of games before he hurt his knee his junior year, and he was out all year. Actually caused him to drop a little bit in the rankings. At 6'5", with smooth athleticism, but crazy quickness, getting in and out of breaks at his size. He's a really, really freaky dude. And just haven't heard a ton about him, or even, we don't even have a whole lot of film on him. You got to go back to his time at Withrow in Ohio as a 15-year-old sophomore. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's great film, but he's such a young kid. But in his older years, we don't have a whole lot other than him working out and then a couple little snippets from the few games that he was able to play. And he's kind of got a totally different body now. He's a lot bigger and stronger. And he's not, I don't, it's just a different feel to him, but I can't wait to see him his senior year. The dude is just electric. He's not a Jeremiah Smith level prospect. Obviously nobody is, but I think he absolutely has a shot at being the number one wide receiver again in this class when he takes the field again his senior year, because he's currently not. And that irked me. But anyway, we'll see if he can get it back. But recently, the commitment of Brock Boyd to the Buckeyes has kind of flown under the radar a bit. Brock Boyd, out of South Lake Carroll High School. Brock was committed to TCU. This is a top 400 composite guy. The rankings have not really loved him. And he was underlisted number one with his height and his weight. His mom told me he was 6'1.5", 185. He was listed at like 6 foot or 6'1" and then 165 pounds. But a production machine in 6A Texas football. So high-level Texas football, 111 receptions, 1,800 yards in his junior year, 20 touchdowns, a state champion, broke a record in the state championship for receptions, and such a good receiver, partly due to his speed, 21.7 in the 200-meter. To put that in context, Ohio State freshman Phillip Bell, who just came in out of California, torched everybody all through the spring. Guy was awesome. Let me say torched everybody. Obviously, he's playing against Buckeye DBs, but really, really showed out. Like, wow, this is going to be a dude type of showing at a young age. A 24.7 200-meter. And I'm just saying, like, not to put Phil Bell down. He's great. Brock Boyd is a special, special athlete, man. And I want you to look at this. It almost doesn't even look right. Check him out just working out here. I mean, this kid in and out of breaks, like that's ridiculous twitch and speed. It just doesn't even look right to me, but absolutely NFL potential for Brock Boyd. His older brother, a Texas Tech wide receiver who transferred to Utah State. And while Texas Christian was the school Brock Boyd was committed to, it's not like he had some just local small offers. He had Tennessee, he had Oregon, he had Ole Miss, he had Oklahoma. He just wanted to stay home. This is a legit dude. And then we go to Jaeden Ricketts from Pataskala, Ohio, also a top 200 kid. He went the camp route to get his offer, and he got that offer last year in a June camp. We saw him commit shortly after. Another burner. He hustles, he blocks, he looks really good in the open field. We don't have a ton of highlight film on him, but what we do have, he looks really good out there moving around. Jaeden Ricketts, baby. Here's our Buckeye from Pataskala. This is a right place, right time, hustle kind of kid. Watch him on defense here. Teammate picks up the fumble. He's 20 yards behind the play. Teammate fumbles the ball, and there's Ricketts to get that son of a gun for a touchdown. Gotta love the hustle on that, by the way. Smoked everybody on the field. Here is him blocking as a wide receiver. This has got Buckeye written all over it right here. Springs his buddy. Go, buddy, go. Now, let's see him with the ball in his hands a little bit here. No, we're going to block again. Springs his buddy. All right, now we get to see him with the ball in his hands. My man's got yards after catch. Gonna smoke this angle. Oh, that poor guy. He smoked it. He's a burner. He's got great moves. There's not a lot of film on him. There's not a lot. But the little that we do got, we see some serious yards after catch ability. Watch this poor guy. He doesn't get within 3 yards of him. I love it. But that's it. That's all we got. Will there be a fifth? Could Ohio State potentially take another one? I think if Jalen Lott or Messiah Hampton or Braden Robinson wants in this class, absolutely they'll take 5. They're not going to add someone just to add them, but there's guys still out there. I don't know if they would want to join a wide receiver class that already has 4 really talented guys. But if they want in, they're going to get in. When we look at the wide receiver room, Carnell will be gone after this year. Then these guys, when they come in, this class of 26, their freshman year, you're looking at Ennis and Bryson Rogers would be seniors. JJ and Mylan Graham would be juniors, probably both of their last year. And then they got the 5 freshmen ahead of them would be sophomores. So, this could be a big class, easy peasy. Everybody fits. It's all good. So potentially, maybe there is a fifth coming. But regardless whether there is or not, this 4-pack of Chris Henry Jr., Kayden Dixon Wyatt, Brock Boyd, and Jaeden Ricketts, man, oh man, that is one heck of a class. Looking back at last year's class with Quincy Porter and Phillip Bell, Des Jones and Bodpin Miller, there's a little more question as to, I love BP Miller as a prospect, but there's still a little unknown there. A lot of unknown. There's still some unknown about Des. I think that this 26 class, there's much more sure things going on here. Quincy Porter, Chris Henry Jr., both stars. Phillip Bell has shown us he's going to be a dude, I think. I think Kayden Dixon Wyatt is your, kind of the comp there. And then Brock Boyd to Des Jones. Brock Boyd is, to me, and I was really big on Des, but I think Brock's just a different kind of stratosphere here. And then Bodpin as a project guy versus Jaeden. I guess you could call him kind of a project guy, but he's much further along, obviously. Bodpin, 5-star type of athlete. Who knows what happens there? It's going to be interesting to see how these two classes shake out, because they are both really exciting, and I love the guys and I love all 8 of them. But when we look at this class of 2026, Ohio State now with 12 total commits, 2 of them top 100 guys. And that class ranks about, 6th, 5th in the country right now. It's stupid to really get into the rankings at this point because it doesn't matter. But I did just want to point out that USC right now with the number 1 class has 27 total commits, which is an insane number. That's as many as Ohio State finished with last year, and it was the biggest class we've had in forever. 27 at this point. Notre Dame's at number 2. They have 14. If you add up the following schools: Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, Oklahoma, and Michigan, all the top 100 players that they have combined, it does not equal the amount that USC has of top 100 players in their class. It's not just a big class. They've got high-end talent. 8 top 100 players right now. That's an astonishing number. It's a really astonishing number at this point in the cycle. The question is, are they going to be able to hold on to this? I talked the other day about the Texas thing. It is player acquisition that shows us who's spending money, not anonymous sources. And it's another Big Ten school that is going all out, and that's USC. I think it might be the start of USC taking the next step under Lincoln Riley. They almost won like 5 more games last year. A couple extra good players on the roster can help you get over that hump, but going to be really interesting, man. Going to be really interesting. We got a new player in the Big Ten now. I really think so. And again, Big Ten, never been so exciting. Anyway, that's what we got today, guys. I appreciate you so much. Kayden Dixon Wyatt, a Buckeye. Brian Hartline, the absolute gangster. Love it. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Juck and Bucks out.